You feeling all right, brother?
I'm glad to be with you.
Well, let me just say that this is Bishop Scott. I thank you for allowing me to do the presentation on your show Wednesday night. So it's only right that I came back to do what they call return the favor. So
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
yeah, it was great, man. I said a lot in those 20 minutes, I think.
Oh, yes, you did. Quite a bit. Quite a lot. Eye-opening stuff too.
Yeah. So how are things going in Pennsylvania?
Oh, we're coming along. Pennsylvania's coming along, like the rest of the country right now. We're just anticipating really November the 3rd and even September the 29th when this great debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump will take place. I'm very curious about that. I want to see this. They're interacting with each other. I remember in 2016 when Hillary and Donald Trump had those three debates, and how each of those debates, in my humble opinion, went to Donald Trump. I think he was more impressive. He challenged her on points that she did not feel comfortable with, and she could not really answer correct, in any viable way. She kind of dodged a lot of the questions, kind of went to another topic, or tried to avoid directly answering the questions that he posed to her. And I think that weakened her. And I really believe that those debates really kind of cast a doubt on people's reliability on her. And I think part of her problem in winning was those debates. I think they made a difference. I think many people that were straddling the fence, whether to go with Biden, whether to go with Donald Trump or Hillary, kind of went over the other side and voted for Trump, or didn't vote at all, or voted for a third party person. I think her performance in those debates really made a difference in the election. I really do.
Well, it's kind of funny you said that because just yesterday Nancy Pelosi said that she don't think Biden should debate.
No, because they know his weakness. They know his weakness. And to go face to face with a Donald Trump. Now, keep in mind, these men are both in their 70s. But there's a difference between the quickness and the sharpness of Donald Trump versus the slower, more deliberate style of Joe Biden. There's no doubt about it. If he doesn't have those prop cards and those monitors in front of him telling him what to say, and all he's doing is reading, it's hard for him to argue off the cuff. Because every time he does, remember when he was dealing with people during the primaries, and they would ask him something that wasn't on the script, he'd get mad and call, well, vote for Trump then. I don't want to hear this. You're a liar and all this. He went off the deep end when people asked him questions that were not prepared for him. He wasn't prepared for. And I'm going to tell you something. Donald Trump's going to ask him a lot of things and going to throw a lot of things that he won't be prepared for. Or if he is prepared, he's going to be prepared in a more negative, more hostile, we're going to see the real Joe Biden. We're going to see the real Joe Biden on September the 29th. I really believe that. I really believe that.
Well, yesterday it's kind of funny because we had Trump here in Newport News, Virginia. That's about an hour from me.
Okay.
And then, but tonight he's going to be in Pennsylvania. He just announced a Supreme Court justice probably about 50 minutes ago, maybe, or something like that. Okay. Amy Coney Barrett, Catholic woman. I think she has 5 children, 2 adopted from Haiti or something.
Oh, Catholic. Okay.
Catholic. Now, I looked at it this way. You're right, he's shocked because he picked a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
That takes care of me too. But then they're saying now she's against abortion and she's not pro-choice and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen.
She's conservative.
Since when have we found it okay to literally say, oh my God, we need to be able to kill babies and all this stuff? This is like very, very hypocritical, isn't it? I mean, you have children, but you're saying it's okay to kill children. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
And the weird part about it, Joe Biden's Catholic himself. He's Catholic. He's a Catholic. He'd be the second Catholic president if he wins. He'd be the second Catholic president after John Kennedy, who was the first. So, well, but I think his views on certain things are always politically motivated. Always remember that about Joe Biden. Whatever he does, whatever he stands for or doesn't stand for, it's all politically motivated.
So he's a sailboat.
They don't believe in divorce as something to practice. But of course, if it's the in thing, Most Democrats do. Many Democrats do. I'm a Democrat. Over the years, I've been a Democrat for many years. I've never believed in abortion. I don't. Because I call myself, this is what I look at. I call myself a moral conservative and a social liberal. That's how I see myself. I'm a moral conservative. Anything dealing with morality, I believe prayers should go back into school. I don't believe in abortion. Many things I don't believe in. I just don't. Personally, I do not believe in these things. I think taking prayer out of school has raised up a generation that don't even know much about God. Doesn't know anything about God, and I think that's a travesty, And when you don't believe in God, you are more prone to be more pro-choice. I mean, you don't put God in the equation. I mean, the fetus is not a human being. I've never known a time, Brother Bernard, that any woman has ever given birth to anything but a human. So I don't see how you could argue the point that it's not a human until it comes out the womb. Well, what is it then? What is it then? Because if what you're saying is a woman should be able to have a monkey then, chimpanzee, a gorilla, if he's not a human being in the beginning. So, but that's what I'm saying. When you have no moral foundation, then you'll believe anything that the world tells you. You'll believe anything.
Well, let's talk about that because yeah, remember we were talking. Remember a couple of weeks ago I was talking to you and I said Bishop, I said in California they passed a law called the SB 145. Remember that?
Yep.
I told you go look it up.
Yeah, and now, we did.
And if you realize if Joe Biden's on that ticket, he got to be with these ideals too, because ain't no way nobody should be talking about it. The media didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. I and some other friends have been talking about it, but I got to send that to you for you to see it. Why aren't they talking about it?
Well, once again, it's politically expedient. A lot of things that Joe Biden did not believe in that's now become popular, he jumped on the bandwagon. At one point, he didn't believe in same-sex marriages. He vehemently denied the right for two people of the same sex to get married officially. Now he flipped the script, naturally, as Joe Biden does, once again, for political expediency. Same-sex marriage was not popular in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. Now in the 2000s, it's very popular. People don't see any problem with it. Democrats, for the most part, endorse it. So naturally, he's going to swing another way. He was the one who created the crime bill. Now, he and Kamala goes on TV talking about it was a devastation how black men are being locked up. We're going to change that. I mean, the two people that pushed this whole philosophy through during the 90s and the early 2000s, now all of a sudden flipping the script and getting African-American men who's supposed to be sitting at this barbershop saying how much things are going to change under a Biden and a Kamala Harris in terms of social justice and criminal justice and all of that. I mean, people really have to be naive. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't buy this thing that we don't know. We're only talking about the 1990s. There's not many people that I know that are on the platform. There's not many people I know that are in this world. There's not many people I know that are in politics that were not around in the 1990s, okay? In the early 2000s. Okay, I mean, we're not talking about the time of Martin Luther King 55, 60 years ago, the time of Marcus Garvey, back in the 20s. We're talking about less than 20 years ago. And not many people I know that are active in politics are less than 20 years old.
That's right.
So, I mean, you're not talking about something that we didn't experience. We knew it. Many of our family members, many people that we know were in prison, still in prison, many of them, for crimes that are not even deserving of the punishment that they've been in prison for. You can murder somebody and be out in 15 years. You can have 2 joints and be in for 30. What kind of justice is that?
Well, let me talk about that for a second. See, a lot of people forget about the 1994 crime bill, but it's also involved with the NAFTA deal. When they started shipping those jobs away with the NAFTA deal, they also needed, by you shipping jobs to the country, you still had to have a workforce. But the workforce ended up being the penitentiary for the black man, and some women included as well.
Yeah.
So you had NAFTA come as well. But that's why a lot of men went to jail for nonviolent offenses. I know. I worked at a prison, so
that's right. You were a prison.
So I mean, you see guys work on a farm or work some of them even milk cows. But a lot of people had jobs in prison, especially lower level offenders would have jobs in a prison, like we say making the food, sweeping floors, they had a lot of jobs. I just put it like that. I can't get into everything right now.
Yeah,
Too much.
Yeah.
Really sit there and remember. But if I can remember that from 2016, right? Then
look, but Brother Bernard, Kamala Harris, when she was both district attorney and attorney general, she kept people in prison longer than what they needed to be, all trumped up charges to keep the prison industrial complex working and moving, this free labor. Because keep in mind, even back in the 1865 rather, when we were free from slavery, our ancestors were free from slavery. The one condition that they made was those that are in prison, those that go to prison are bound and have lifelong servitude. So slavery existed through the prison system. And it still serves as a way that government has a way of getting free labor. And we're still doing it here in the 2000s, 200 years later, almost 300 years later after slavery, we're still using the prison system as a vehicle by which the government can produce without paying anyone what they're due. And so Kamala Harris is almost proud of the record that she kept people in longer than their sentences, finding little loopholes to keep them a little while longer so they can continue to produce for the prison industrial complex. And then you have him who created the whole system in the first place. He's proud to have said, I am the architect. That's the one who builds. That's the one who creates. That's the one who makes the structure. The architect is the one who makes it possible. All Bill Clinton did was sign the bill. He's the one that created the bill, Joe Biden. But he was the head of the Senate during that time. And he created the bill. All Clinton did was just sign it.
Well, you had a man named Ted Kennedy that was trying to do it, and Joe Biden took the bill from him and said, "Oh, this."
Yeah.
So you had a lot of elements in there, but actually, and I was gonna say this. Speaking of Kamala, she fought to keep 50,000 black men in jail. She tried to use them as firefighters and stuff like that. They could be a firefighter in prison, but they couldn't be a firefighter when they came out of prison, right?
Couldn't even be a firefighter out of prison, but you were a firefighter in prison. Fighting bushfires and all that wildfires and all over the state for free.
With the governor doing it again.
Free labor.
The governor of California, he's doing it again. As a matter of fact, Gavin Newsom, he's doing it now.
I'm not surprised. The system goes on. Names changes, face changes, but the system goes on. If people naively believe that getting Trump out of the White House is going to make everything a new a heaven or utopia, or now everything's going to be the way it should be for everybody in this country, you are highly, highly mistaken. And I'm not saying who you should vote for, but all I'm saying is this: that if you believe that getting Trump out and Biden in is going to make your life better, you are sadly delusional, and you're falling for the okie doke once again. And that's what so you can fall for it, but don't be surprised when your neighborhood stays the same. You still lose your jobs. You still get petty ante jobs. You still don't get what you need to get. Your economics don't improve as a community. You still stay in the ghetto. Nobody's helping you. Nobody's reaching out to lift you up. Everybody, if they're going to lift you up at all, they're going to lift everybody else up along with you, which keeps you on the bottom rung. If I'm on the first floor and you're on the second floor, and we both move up one floor, that means now you're on the third floor and I'm on the second. So I'm still on the bottom.
Okay. Now, let me look at something here. I want to bring this up to you. Well, let me bring this up first. How do you feel about Miss Kamala Harris saying that Tupac is the greatest rapper alive? They don't really care, do you?
Well, she said a lot about Tupac and about Snoop Dogg, that when she was in college, they were her main, and they weren't even artists during the time she was in college. Once again, one of them politicians that'll say whatever goes, and she knows we love our hot sauce and we love our hip hop entertainers, and all we got to do is throw that around, and everybody, wow, look at her, boy, she's in the know. Look at this. She throws that Howard thing around. It don't mean a thing. A lot of white folk have graduated from Howard. It's not an all-black school. It wasn't like the other schools. It never was meant to be one race go to that school. It was never meant to be that. So you do have graduates from that school that were white, that were Native American, that were Latinos, that were Asian, and of course her who was a Indian Asian, Jamaican. So I mean, she's not unique. It looked like she made, like people make it look like she's made this wonderful choice. I want to be a part of the black experience, so I'm gonna go to Howard. She's like anybody else. Most time our schools are not as expensive as the other schools. It's much cheaper to go to Howard than it would be to go to University of Maryland. So we go to Howard instead. Come on now, it's cheaper than Harvard University. You need sponsorship and all that kind of stuff to go to Harvard and Yale and Rutgers and all those other big Ivy League schools. Go to this school, you don't need all that. So they went there mainly because of they can get in for scholarships. Many people use the Civil Rights Act and all of that stuff to get in these schools because they can get into them cheaper. There's reasons why. It was not because I identify with the black community. It was practical reasons why they chose African-American schools and universities. There's practical reasons. There's economic reasons for them to get into these schools. It's easier to get into.
Okay, let me bring some up to you because yesterday, as I told you, Trump was in Atlanta and had a what do you call a platinum plan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up to you. It's aimed at investing $500 billion in black communities. Remember, notice I said the word black now. I ain't saying nothing else. I said black. All right, just bring it up. He plans to make Juneteenth a holiday, which that's either here or there. I really don't worry about that.
Yeah, right, yeah. But that shows something, though. That does. It's something more than anybody else has ever done. I'll say that. No one else has ever done that. Not even the black president has done that. Did that.
It would boost lending to black-owned businesses. 500,000 black-owned businesses to be exact.
That's a lot.
3 million jobs. Reduce taxes, include education, healthcare, and criminal justice reform. He said the plan would focus on the prosecution of the Ku Klux Klan and Antifa, as well as designating the groups as terrorist organizations and make lynching a national hate crime.
Okay.
So, when I looked at this, right now, I would say some of the Klan, and see the Klan really, I mean, it's kind of like you don't see them right around here. You got so many other groups that could be a spinoff, but the fact of even making lynching a national hate crime, now you don't have lynching on books for a long time, as a crime, but just to say it now. And remember, Kamala Harris talking about lynching a hate crime bill, right?
Yeah.
But that was actually under the guise of the Equality Act to include LGBT and all that stuff.
Oh, so, yeah.
So
that made it clear. Kamala has made it clear. Her last statement to a black news woman was this: when the woman asked her, "So all you're doing is just bringing gestures? You're just including blacks in the situation? Would you ever do anything for black Americans for themselves, by themselves, without adding anybody else?" And she made it clear, didn't she? She said, if you're saying I would do anything just to benefit black people only, she said, no, I will not do anything to benefit black people only. She made it clear. You had to be, she said it. I mean, no paraphrasing it, and somebody said she said it on a newscast. And you can go to YouTube. You can find some of this stuff out. It's not a mystery. It's not hard to find out. You can find out about the plan that Trump has. There's ways to find these things out. We don't live in the stagecoach days. We didn't have nobody communicate with nobody else. You can go on your internet. You go on the internet for everything else. Go on the internet for something worth going to the internet for. Something that's going to change your life forever. Because, she made it clear. And you're foolish to believe anything's going to change.
You made a good statement earlier, and I want you to bring this up that you made about this travesty called "Get Your Booty to the Pole."
Mm-hmm.
I want you to explain your thoughts on that.
Well, once again, they do things and they present things to tantalize us to that what they think will draw our attention, will get our vote, will get our support. I mean, I think about so many things. One commercial they had was, you heard in the background gospel music as they were presenting the case. I mean, these are kind of like cues about us. It's what they think we are. They'll pull out some hot sauce out of their bag and put it on some greens. They'll get a saxophone and go on Arsenio Hall show and play some jazz. Things that they associate with us, that they think that that's all we're about. All we're about is this kind of insignificant stuff, hot sauce and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing here. They use girls to twerk. Now, I wouldn't even mind them using those girls if they would have used the girls to give the message, because the message that the commercial has, the ad has, was a very good one. It's saying basically, don't just think about going to the polls and voting for the president. Remember, the senators are up for re-election, mayors are up for re-election, governors are up for re-election, other people that have impact your life are up for re-election. That's a wonderful message. But why you got to always put the imagery, a certain kind of imagery that you think will attract black men? That's a travesty, because you think we're sexual beings anyway. You think we're nothing but a beast anyway. The same thing with Birth of a Nation, made in 1915. They projected us as being just after the white woman, always have our mind on sex and things like that. That's all we concerned with. We ain't concerned with anything important. We just like animals. All we want to do is get a good hump. So the imagery, the message is one thing, but then you blur it and you really kind of desecrate the message by throwing some butt in somebody's face, twerking and dancing and gyrating on a pole. I mean, come on, where is the parody? Where is the camaraderie? The message is a good message, and you gotta usher it in with this kind of stuff because you don't care about us. I can see somebody now going to the Latino community and they got big sombreros dancing to the music of the Latin beat, and those girls half naked and stuff like that. They would get up in arms. Nobody's saying nothing. We don't say nothing. We say something in a corner somewhere. One-on-one, a couple of people getting together. Oh, that was awful. But what did we do? Because they're going to keep on doing it. They did it before. They do it again. As long as it works for us. They think it works on us, and it does. Because many people are so naive and so gullible to believe that this means something. You're not my friend because you can twerk in my favor, in my face. What does that mean to me? Talk to me like a man.
That's right.
Talk to me like you would a Latino. Talk to me like you would a Jewish man. Talk to me like you would an Asian man. Talk to me like you would a Native American man. Talk about the issues without having these little images of twerking and these gospel songs and hot sauce and a saxophone playing and all these little gimmicks. That's all you do with. That's all, and we fall for the okey-doke over and over. I am so frustrated sometimes with our people as a whole. I'm so glad there's people like you that are awoke. I'm glad about people that like my niece, Rhonda Gregory, and my sister, Rhonda Supreme, and Lauren in LA, and so many others that are part of our group. I'm glad that people with a consciousness, whether we always agree or not, we're aware. And we do more than just talk about it. One thing my niece says about you all the time, just talked to her a couple of days ago. The one thing that she admires most about you, and there's many bones of contention between the two of you, but the thing that she admires about you is that you take it to the streets. You don't just talk about it. You do something about it to the best of your ability. You've been to Chicago. You've been to Virginia. You've been to Delaware. You've been here. You've been there. You're getting ready to go to Cleveland. Getting ready to go to Memphis, Tennessee. Getting ready to go to Philadelphia. Going to Baltimore. Places that need to be rallied, and people need to hear the message. Staying in your little room somewhere and talking to a couple of buddies about it don't mean nothing. It ain't going to have no impact, no import, or nothing. We got to get out and make the thing happen. And that's the only way things are going to change. Talking in your own house don't mean nothing. They should get out your house and start making it happen. And that's why, so many people that are part of my show really like you and enjoy and appreciate not just your talk, but the life you live behind the talk.
Thank you, sir. Let me say something about that, brother. As a matter of fact, I was just thinking about this today, and you were just talking about the pandering, right? I'm gonna get to my thoughts on Miss Kamala Harris because when I saw that she was also with Angela Rye, who's another panderer, As a matter of fact, and you know the word ADUS or Foundation of Black Americans or whatever they use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Angela Rye, you go look up her background. What is she? She's Haitian. Nothing wrong with Haitians, but that she's got Haitian.
She's a little bit Jamaican, a little bit white. She's another mixed bag of ethnicities.
Yeah.
Her and Joy Reid, another one. Joy Reid, another mixed bag of ethnicities. You know.
So if you go look at if you look at the conference that Donald Trump had yesterday in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see stronger looking black men, stronger looking black women. You know Angela Stanton King, you remember her, of course.
Oh yeah.
Kimberly Klacik. Kimberly Klacik's daughter. I mean, Kimberly Klacik from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You had another guy. I think he was up there. You had 26 black people running for Congress on the Republican. One of them is actually going for Maxine Waters' seat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In California, black man. So I'm gonna just use a period of a thing that the judge would say sometimes is in heighten the contradictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have Maxine Waters for long. If you feel this guy is the best option, vote for this guy and see what he do. Get vote for King, vote for Collins, or vote for Klacik or whoever. You know, if you know, just try it one time. It can't get any worse, right? So,
you got that right. You got that right. So, it really can't. You know what? I tell you the truth. You're so right. It can't get any worse because our black elected officials are doing absolutely nothing. So you can put anybody in. You can put me in there, you in there, my little grandson. He's only 17 years old. I can put him in there. He can't do nothing. When he worse, what can he do worse? They do absolutely nothing. So,
well, 43. You know. Well, check this out. And I looked at the ages of some of these candidates, right? Angela Stanton King is 43 or somewhere in there. I think Klacik is about 38.
Yeah, she'd be the youngest. I think the youngest senator she wins. She'd be the youngest senator sitting today. Senator, not senator.
Got it. I mean, even say what you want about the Attorney General of Kentucky, but he's 34 years old. Mm-hmm. So, what I'm saying, you got a new breed of young black men and women, but they're not running on a Democrat. You know, they say we are not our ancestors. You heard that statement, right? Well, they're not just the answer. They're just not falling for the game anymore. That's why some of them running the Republican ticket. I'm just bringing that to your attention, you know. So, you know, I always tell back and you know the word history repeats itself, right?
Oh yeah.
But remember, see, it's a lie that black people never were in Congress anyway. After the Civil War, you had blacks in Congress in these positions, and they got ran out by Democrats.
Right. The Southern Democrats got back in power, and then they eased them out of the government, and then you deny them vote, so they never could get back in the government, but they were denied the right to vote. So now you ain't gonna get nobody back in there. We had governors, we had House members, we had senators, we had mayors, we had every office you could possibly think of in government at that time. It only lasted 11 years, from 1866 to 1877. Only 11 years. But just like you said, once the Dixiecrats, once the Southern Democrats, our old enemy, the Confederates, got back into power, then of course all of that ceased and desisted, and we didn't have anybody again for another 100 and some years before anybody would serve as a governor, as a senator, even longer, as a House member for about 100 years.
Well, let me say that. So, like I say, history repeats itself, right? Mm-hmm. So all it's doing is history repeating itself again. They just run into the Republican side. That's all it is. You know, I mean, that's all they're doing. But it's younger people though this time. It's not old. It's not that many old people.
Right. Not the old guards.
So, I said I don't really particularly care for either side, right? But I will say this. That's why I said that the word heighten the contradictions is a necessary word right now, because if you can heighten the contradictions, right, you put the other party on notice. You want to make a deal, you know, you put the other party on notice. That's how I look at that.
Oh, that's how you got to do it. You have to do it that way. Well, they don't feel obligated to do anything for you. If you don't put if you don't put nothing on the table, and you didn't say I'm going to vote for you all anyway, just to get rid of somebody, that's why I'm voting for you.
Well, let's talk about
nothing else. Latinos want him gone. A lot of people want him go. Some other people beside us want him gone. But what they do is they go to the Democrats and say, if you want us to help you get rid of him, this is what you got to do for us. We don't do that. We go and say, we're Democrats, true and blue, and vote blue, and heck with you, and all that, that kind of philosophy. And we get nothing out of it. We demanded nothing from Barack Obama. We demanded nothing from even Hillary when she was running. We didn't demand anything from her. We don't demand anything from Joe Biden. And they're going to get in. They're going to do the same old stuff that they've always done, which is absolutely nothing. Promise us the world and give you nothing. If anything, maybe a couple of crumbs here and there. That's all. You're never going to get a slice of the pie. Forget that. If you're lucky to get the crumb, you should be glad for the crumb.
Well, I'll say this about that, Bishop. And that's why, like, when you start, I mean, like, the only thing I say about Trump is that he might get some black businessmen to talk, but these are not, except for Herschel Walker, you really didn't know a lot of these people. Like, the Democrats, look who they get. They get a LeBron James to speak for them, or
right.
Somebody like even going to the point of saying that Ice Cube was going to meet with Joe Biden. Why you got to get entertained all the time? You can't talk to anybody else.
But you know why? Because they run those industries. Who runs the news agencies? Who runs ABC? Who runs Paramount? Who runs Warner Brothers? Who runs Disney? Who runs these companies that employ these entertainers?
That's right.
So if the Democrats are the ones that run these, because most of them are run by ethnic group that we know that is white, they're run by a certain group. Even BET now is run by a certain group. So you get them on that's why BET now promotes all they promote is Biden. They have no commercial at all about Trump. None. And I'm not saying that they should endorse Trump, but they're endorsing Biden indirectly. By you putting only one candidate and his commercials on everything you put on, and you put nothing about the other candidate, you are endorsing, in my mind. No, you're not saying it, but you're endorsing. Come on. I mean, you have to be an idiot to think you're not endorsing. If all I do is put you on, and I never put on let's say, Rhonda Gregory, then I'm endorsing you. I'm not endorsing her.
Well, let me say something about that. Come to think about it, the woman that directed to Get Your Booty to the Polls says she has no affiliation to any partisanship, but she got pictures with Jim Clyburn and the ACLU, and she used to be on BET. So what are you talking about? All I got to do is sign your record and look at you. I know who you really for.
But see, but what do they say about us? We don't read nothing. Anything. If you want to keep things away from us, put it in a book.
I mean,
it's easy to find out. You don't need to put in we can really things are so easy to find out now. Don't ever have to read a book. Go on Google. You Google everything else. You Google whether Beyonce and Jay-Z, whatever his name is, are still married. You Google that. You Google whether somebody's divorcing somebody else. You Google that. You Google everything under the sun. Why don't you Google things that impact your life? We don't Google. We act like we don't care about that until election time. Then those who are running tell us what to vote for and tell us what to believe in and tell us all of this stuff. We can be looking at all this stuff all year round and find out the truth. Instead, we rather get a little 2-minute soundbite on CNN and make our whole political philosophy on that.
Well, let me say something to you, Bishop, because I know this might not be popular opinion for people to say, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. People might get mad about it. You know this Breonna Taylor situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
My take on this is, why are we surprised? And I'm gonna tell you why we surprised. What's a guy named Crump?
Yeah.
They settled the week earlier, right?
Right, $12 million.
Okay. They settled for $12 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they had the case where they didn't they voted not to charge officers, right? Jury, right?
Right.
But my thing is, you saw them boarding up everything and doing all this, you kind of knew which way it was going, but when you took the money, it was already a dead giveaway anyway, to me.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing with Crump, I always say, when you see Ben Crump and Al Sharpton on the tag team, you really need to start analyzing and get ready to run like no tomorrow, because you already know what time it is and who's controlling who.
Because to be honest with you, Bernard, to be honest with you, the money comes in with the civil suits.
That's right.
You don't get no money from a criminal action. I mean, you even get a fee, certainly, because you did the case and all that. But if you really want real money, you try for the civil. That's where you can get the millions of dollars. You don't get no millions of dollars off no criminal act. You get it as far as the lawyers are concerned. The lawyers get their money. That's why they always push for. If it doesn't win in the criminal act, they always push for the civil thing. Civil suit, sue them. That's where you get the money. So naturally, their main concern is always for the civil case. Even with OJ lost. OJ won against killing, Nicole and Goodman. And what did they do? They went right into the civil case, and they lost. And he had to pay millions and millions of dollars in the civil suit. Lawyers look at it from this perspective. If we win a criminal case, all in good. It's a win. Nothing wrong with a win. But if you really want to add to your coffers, where you're going to add to your coffers will be in a civil suit, where you're going to sue somebody for something. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar, and the truth. If they got $12 million, he's going to get quite a bit of that $12 million. Let me tell you that now. They ain't taking all $12 million home. You can tell you that now.
Well, after everything, all expenses paid, probably end up with $4 million, something like that, right? But
every bit, if not more. Every bit that, at least $4 million.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at it with Crump, and I'm gonna say that you see, you got to understand something about Breonna Taylor's case too. There's a lot of I can see some articles, a lot of other stuff that meets the eye that really needs to be looked at, because I mean, when you look at the case, I just say if a woman out there, a man, I'm not excusing the officers for what they did, but if you're in this type of lifestyle with the guys that she was dating, you might want to, check yourself on this, because I mean, a woman should not be in harm's way like that when they come into a bus.
Oh no.
But and I also say about the officers, if it was as bad as it seemed, they would have killed him too. They didn't kill him, so something's up with that too. You just look at the facts. They didn't kill him, so I mean, it is what it is. And he fought back. Now, let me say something about him fighting back, because that goes against the narrative that LeBron James and Terrell Owens say, oh, we're scared for our lives, and black men and women are scared. No, I mean, he did fight back, so give him credit. Even in the tragedy, it shows you a black man can fight back, and he stood up. So I look at it like
he stood up. He stood up.
So, and that's why I say it like we got, it's good and bad in every story. The bad thing is she died, and the officer didn't get charged. The good thing is I got to see a black man stand up and shoot back. That's how I looked at that situation.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, we need to, somebody come in your house, and particularly if you didn't announce who they were and they busted in your house. I mean, by right, it's called invasion of what's that called? Trespassing. Simple thing. If you coming in something, I busted your house without you saying to me, please, if you don't say that and you come busting in like they did, I mean, I got a right to shoot you. And then I ask questions later on. I get the wrong man. Right. But it's called trespassing. It's a law. You cannot trespass in somebody's house. You cannot do it unless you have some kind of authority to do it. But if you don't say nothing, but you trying to ambush, or you trying to sneak into something by busting in the house, trying to catch somebody doing something, and somebody shoots you, then you have a right to do that.
So, and as a matter of fact, the worst part about he shot an officer in the leg. They're saying, hey, he's still standing, so he showed you can fight back. So, some black man or woman out there need to say, look, I can defend myself. Hey, look, if I gotta die,
that's right.
But hey, I went out fighting.
That means dying. I mean, I did defend myself.
Yeah. So
my problem is, this whole thing is this, and there will be cases where people will be killed, black, white, or whatever, will be killed. They'll be killed justifiably in some instances. We know that. We know there's some things that the police will shoot you justifiably. We understand that. At least I do. I'm not going to say in every case if a black person is killed, in no case were they wrong. I believe there are cases where that is the case. They're wrong, not the police in this case. But my problem is this overkill stuff that's going on. Being shot 6 times, being shot 7 times in the back, being shot 11 times, having somebody on your neck for 9 minutes. It takes 4 minutes to kill somebody. You're on there for 9. So you almost guarantee that person's going to die. Nobody can have one person on your back, which means you can't breathe through your lung. Another one has a knee on your neck, which means you can't breathe through your mouth for 9 minutes. Come on, 8 minutes and 58 seconds. That's how long it was. You might as well say 9 minutes. 2 more seconds, what to do. This is the kind of thing I have a problem with. I think this is where I have an issue. It's not so much that some cases are justified. We're not even talking about the justifiable cases, because I believe that's the case. But when you're talking about something that is overkill, when you just went beyond subduing somebody, you meant to kill them. There's no way in the world you can have your knee on my neck for 9 minutes and not expect me to die. There's no way. Even when I move, you move so that I stay there, so I'm still choked. You won't even shift where you can give me some kind of relief. You keep your knee on my neck. I mean, that's the kind of thing I have a problem with. Even if somebody was reaching for the knife with the Jacobs guy, if he was reaching for a knife, it's still, 7 times in the back. Which time, he's going to stop him from doing that? You got to shoot him 7 times in the back. Close up range. First of all, you let the man walk around the car. Nobody grabbed him. Nobody subdued him. Nobody threw him to the ground. Let him walk around the car, open the car door with his children in there. Let him lean into the car. And then you say he was trying to pick up a knife or whatever you're trying to pick up, and you had to shoot him 7 times. I don't believe you do. I really don't. And you're endangering 3 baby children, 5 years old, all the way down to about 2 years old, children in the car with you. You know how guns are, and because you've been a correctional officer, you can shoot somebody and hit somebody else with that bullet that shot in. Don't have to be you shooting at the child. You shot at the daddy. The bullet ricocheted off the daddy, hit his elbow, and ricocheted and hit the child on the head. The child dead too. This is the kind of thing that I have a problem with. I don't have a problem. I don't believe in defunding the cops. I don't believe in that. I believe that's a bad situation.
Well, I will say something about Trump. He did mention it yesterday during his platinum plan. And he did also say Joe Biden should spend the rest of his life apologizing to Black America for what he did to them since 1994. He did say that. So that's something that Trump said. Also, let me say one other thing about this thing before I go, bitch. I got to bring this up.
Okay.
The Breonna Taylor thing was also another thing for Black Lives Matter to come out and do their thing again, too. That was another game for them to come out. And and I don't know if I sent you a video today, but if not, you can look at my page. I put it up. There was a U-Haul truck. They were out there getting chills and bricks and everything, to do their dirty work and stuff. Like I said, nobody. This is an organization that's doing this. This is not us. This is not.
Right.
I mean, even if some of us are in it, you gotta have money and resources to get all this. Well, not U-Haul so much, but the bricks and the shields and stuff. So this ain't nothing but look, like Trump said yesterday, this is about destroying a nuclear family to get their little transgender pedophile.
Well, like you said the other day, and I looked it up because I was looking up when you first said it about their agenda. And now they pulled that part of it out of their off their website. Their real agenda, which is to destroy the nuclear family, which is daddy, mommy, babies. That's the nuclear family. They want to destroy the nuclear family. They want to promote the homosexual lifestyle. They want to do, so they pulled out all that off because now that's getting bad feedback. Once again, anything to win, we've got to lie, cheat, steal, whatever. So we pull that off of it. They still have that as their agenda. We know the okey doke. We know the scheme. I don't have to say I'm a racist for you to know I am one.
Watch this.
So but I think that what we have to do is make a distinction between Black Lives Matter, which is a concept, and the organization called Black Lives Matter. Because if you look at the composition now of the Black Lives Matter, not many people are black in it.
That's right.
They're saying blacks, in particular black men, are running away from this organization. It's really, and if you look at the marches and stuff, it's not really us. It's not us anymore. You see us peppered in a little bit here and there, but it's not mainly. I know some of the leadership and all that, and don't even be deceived about that because they'll put you in the front. That don't mean that you really are the leader. I've seen that happen too, and you have too.
Well, listen, watch this. Just last week, they put. I'm gonna just name this to you. They had 100 most influential people in Time magazine, right?
Okay.
3 of them were the founders of Black Lives Matter, the 3 lesbian women, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them was Megan Thee Stallion, right? And by the way, a stallion was a male horse, so we might have to look more into that. And the other one was Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, right?
What?
Yeah. So when you look at that and you look at the agenda, right, of that, right? That already tell you what they pushing by the people they just showed you.
All you gotta do is say, well, you do look at the editors of Time Life.
That's
Who
right.
are the editors of Time Life? Who's the owner of Time Life? So that's what people gotta look at. You gotta look at who owns this. Who owns ABC? Who owns CBS? Who owns CNN? Who owns this? Whatever the owner is, and whatever he endorses or she, whatever the case may be, most of these men, whoever whatever their agenda is, that's what the network will promote through their newscasts, through their commentaries, through their guests. They always have guests. They always have the leftist guest, but the right guest. They always have somebody like that. But they always have like 3 or 4 disputing that one guest. You got the host that disputes it, and 2 other guests that disputes the one on the right. So it's always going to be, and the host always is going to be a leftist because he's employed by CNN. So the host is going to be, he determines who speaks how long, who speaks first, who speaks second, if you speak again ever. He determines all of that. So you have the host that's a leftist, two out of the 3 guests they're leftists. So they got 4 people that are leftists and 1 right. And you expect everybody to get a good idea about the right wing aspect or the conservative aspect by that one person.
Go watch Kimberly Klasik's interview on The View when Joy Behar and Sonny Hobson them cut her off when she started to make her point.
I saw it. They didn't want to hear her.
Yeah.
And particularly when she started talking about Joy and her little blackface antics that she pulled one time.
Well, they say, and she said, the black community support me. So what? We always support people doing dumb stuff.
Of course we do. That's all we do is support people. I think the same thing. I'm like you. I think supporting Joe Biden is just crazy for me.
Well, watch this.
And that's me. I mean, I have to be crazy myself, but that's what I think.
Trump was down here yesterday talking, right? And he mentions the fact about what did Trump say? Oh, about our governor. Yes, the governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam. He said he put on blackface and said he thought he was Michael Jackson. His wife told him to stop. He did say this in a press conference. He said, "I thought I was Michael Jackson. I put shoe polish on my face, and it wasn't blackface." And then he first he said it wasn't him, and then he said it was him. So, but
isn't it funny how Democrats can do that and it's forgiven? A conservative does that and they're lynched, they're vilified, they're sometimes taken down from their posts, they can be fired from their job. 2 people, but one's a liberal, one's a part of the Democratic Party.
Let's say something.
Part of the conservative group.
The apologists for Obama are getting on Chris Rock because he said that Obama was progress for white people. Thank you, Chris Rock. You're right. He was. Thank you. But they're mad at Chris Rock
because Obama was off limits for any black. We weren't supposed to criticize him no matter what he did. He could drop the bomb on Russia, and we would still find a way to justify it. Well, we our friends anyway, and so they deserve it because Obama did it.
He dropping in bombs on Africa though.
Oh yes, he did. Libya.
They
made that a third world country. Rape, slavery's back in place. Rape's back in place. Selling girls in sex slave trade and back in place in Libya. All those things have been eliminated when Gaddafi was there. All of that stuff's back in place big time now. Big time.
Well, Bishop, I gotta say this, brother. It's always good to, and I caught you on very short notice today, and I apologize for catching you.
No problem. I enjoy being with you.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed you as well on Wednesday. Thanks for always inviting me to come on.
Yes. And you're gonna be on again. You know that you're gonna be on again. You got so much wealth of information that you need people like you sharing it with others. We need that.
Well, once again, this is Bishop Scott, Pennsylvania. Oh, by the way, let me say something in Pennsylvania. Bring this to you. I think was it Pennsylvania where they found all those ballots in a dumpster or something like that. I think it was Pennsylvania. I have seen it.
I think it was. I heard something about that. I got to look more into that. There's so much going on. I'm gonna tell you the truth. To be able to be on top of everything in 2020, it takes the rest all your days to do this. Because if you do it all right, I mean, something happening every minute. Every minute something's happening. But we're gonna look into that. We're gonna look into some of the other things. I got a couple of other things I want to look into. And we'll talk about that. I'll talk to you about that in private.
We got the Supreme Court thing. Well, listen. Supreme Court thing went today. They got the woman in. Well, they're gonna nominate her anyway, right?
Yeah, she's gonna win. She's gonna win.
She's gonna get that.
Already says that's what decides that.
I just want to tell you.
Already said they got enough votes to get her in. So
popcorn ready. The movie of 2020 is not over yet. It's still.
In some ways, it's beginning.
It's still going on. So
yes, it is.
I want you to take your time, relax, have a great weekend, and we'll do this again. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure for me too. Thank you so much, Bernard.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.